Hi there, I'm Marcus Barnes and this is the RA Exchange. It's the 17th of November 2020 and I'm sat here with DJS. DJS is an accomplished member of the London scene. He's been active for a number of years and he's been through several different genres, working up to today to run House of Silk, which is arguably one of the city's biggest and best house promotions. He's got an extensive history and we're going to touch on some of the aspects of his story today in today's podcast. DJS, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk about Dungeons to begin with. Obviously, a very iconic and influential place in the London scene.
Yeah.
You were a regular there.
Yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about how you found out about Dungeons and kind of what it was like?
Yeah, it was, well, at the time, I was listening to a pirate radio station called Sunrise FM. There was two main stations. Well, there was quite a few, but Sunrise and Centre Force were the stations. You was either Sunrise or Centre Force. I was Sunrise. They used to put on some parties down there, and the people that ran the security and ran the nights, they were local in the area, Kenny and Noah Chowry. So it was only a 5-minute walk. And I used to be in there every other weekend, to be fair. An amazing place. Well, it was a horrible place, to be fair. Sweaty. But it was an amazing rave.
Yeah, man.
Every week. It was just pivotal to the music scene in this country and the rave scene, how it started. Dungeons is a key player. I'm not sure if it gets the credit it does, to be fair.
What kind of music, like generally speaking, was it acid house at the time?
Yeah, it was acid house at the time, which was just amazing because it just broke in '88. All this music was coming through, and it was something new, vibrant, fresh, and compared to the music we used to have, the pop music, etc., this was unbelievable. I mean, you had the pirate radio stations were around, but you used to have like a lot of the reggae stations and soul stations before that, and then you got this acid house stuff, and it was exciting. It was exciting, yeah.
I take it you were already into music then?
Oh yeah. I was into music. Yeah, I was always locked onto the radio stations. I was sneaking going into. In the 80s, used to have a lot of house parties on the weekends. It was you don't get that now, but in those days it was rife. Called blues and all this. And I used to, as a 14-year-old, me and my mates, we used to go to these parties, and house parties. And it's actually crazy how society's changed.
Big time.
From then. It was a totally different society. And used to have like, some of them used to be called Public Enemy raves.
Okay.
Because Public Enemy was just the name of the raves. They were called like, in house party, blues house parties, and I used to go. I remember I went to a few parties and the tunes, and I remember a tune that stood out. It was like Gwen McRae, "Love That I'm Giving," very classic. Yeah, and we'd go in there and you'd hear these tunes, and we used to think we were big and we were loving it. And then the acid house started creeping in.
So were there a lot of teenagers going to those blues and those house parties as well?
I was a 14-year-old, but past for probably 16, 17.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you would. Not many men. You'd get a lot. You would. You'd get all sorts. To be fair, all sorts. I mean, the house parties, the blues, they're more adult orientated. But obviously, we wanted a part. We wanted a part of it, and yeah, it was. Talking about it now, it's crazy actually how it's changed society considerably from then.
Did it feel more sort of liberated then to you, society then?
Well, it's compared to now, a totally different society. Yes, definitely more liberated. So you had no mobile phones. It was. I think it was more friendlier society. Yeah. It was probably compared to now.
Do you think that's because people were more trusting of each other? There was sort of maybe less sort of...
I think there was more morals and values in those days than you have today. Now, in today, morals, values out the window. I find generally in society there was a lot more morals, a lot more values. I think they had a bit more principle about yourself in those days. I think that's the main difference to now. I mean, when you compare the kids of those days and the kids of today's, I think it comes down to principles, morals, values, totally different.
And so that, would you say that could have potentially played into the fact that people were having house parties and trusted that people would come and maybe be a bit more well behaved?
Well, you would get a few difficulties here and there at some parties. When I mean difficulties, you'd get the local type of thug wanted to come in and address himself for 10-15 minutes and then leave. Probably that's what would happen, but they were quite the norm, these parties. You know, there was loads of them that would go on. It wasn't just like, oh, there's one. You'd have many parties. It was, I'm trying to think now. Imagine if you're having a house party where you're paying to get in and paying for drinks. It wouldn't last 2 minutes.
No, not at all.
It wouldn't last 2 minutes at all.
And it's a world that I actually come from, because my mum used to go to blues.
Okay.
My dad was in the sound system.
Right.
And I think that's pretty much how they met.
Yeah.
And
right.
I can't imagine it, because I didn't grow up in that kind of world either.
Yeah.
And I think it might be hard for a lot of people listening to imagine too, man. Can you sort of tap into your memory banks and kind of describe like the atmosphere and, you know, like just the general sort of way that people looked and behaved?
In those days, you had a lot of designers. Remember, Gabici was a big make. Your Farahs, you had your Farahs on. Behaviour was, you know, it was a party vibe. I found that obviously there was drugs, people used to smoke cannabis and drinking, but there was a lot more positive energy in these events. People couldn't wait for the weekend.
Yeah.
And people couldn't wait for Friday night. Friday night was as big as a Saturday night back in those days. That ain't the case now. But Friday night was huge. So Friday was your Saturday now. Very positive energy. I mean, when I was going into the parties, 14, we weren't indulging in much at all. We were still young, so we wasn't really doing anything, you know, just maybe trying to get a drink, but not much. But we were just soaking in the atmosphere, and you know, when I look back at it now, I was probably training to what I became. This was my training period, just an educational period, maybe for me. Yeah.
And so, how did that then translate over into Dungeons, and then sort of pushing you forward to want to get involved in music itself?
Well, so like I said, the radio stations came along, were huge at the time. In those days, you could call a radio station Sunrise, and I can't even remember the phone number.
What was it?
It was 0860 278 771. That was the number you'd call in for a shout or something. So started going to Dungeons. Then I realised my next door neighbour, he was head of security at Shaftesbury Avenue it was called Shaftesbury's. And
is that Barumba now?
Next door to Barumba, Rainforest.
Right, Rainforest Cafe, yeah.
But Rainforest was a far bigger venue, not what it is now. He was a huge venue. You'd walk downstairs, and Kiss used to do a night in there every Saturday, Kiss FM, called Third Base, and you'd have Paul Trouble Anderson, Judge Jules, Colin Dell, Colin Favour. These type of DJs were there every week. And so my neighbour used to get me in, and 5 of my friends. It was from there that I started, got to know Paul Trouble Anderson. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah, of course, man. R.I.P.
Yeah. And I started carrying his box every week. But that was the thing. If carry his box, walk into a venue, you'd feel big carrying his box. And I used to watch him DJ, and I used to think, wow. And also Bernie, who was head doorman there, he was part of an event, actually not far from here, Tyson Street, Dalston.
Yes, I used to live on Tyson Street.
Right, okay,
years ago,
yeah. So Tyson Street it was a warehouse there, like a big 3-story warehouse. There used to be a event called Rush back in 91.
Right.
1991.
Right.
91, yeah. So I used to get the flying arranged for this event.
Right, okay.
So all my mates I used to get in for free on Saturday at Shaftesbury's. Their job was to come out at 5 o'clock in the morning and fly till 6, and they never used to be happy about it, but they still wanted to get him free. They were off their nuts on ecstasy. You know, they're flying, dancing, they kept moving, and so these were really the introductory periods. And you know, carrying Paul's box and going to different events with him was a real eye-opener for me.
What was it that drove you to want to become involved? Because a lot of people go out and they party and they enjoy the party and they go home and go back to work or whatever. You know, like for you, it seemed like there was something that drove you to.
The music was just. I was so into the music. It was unbelievable. I was probably over-involved, just constantly listening to the music. Just wanted to be a wannabe DJ.
Sure.
Was buying some records. I was buying records, in fact, because I used to work as well. So at Petticoat Lane on a Sunday morning sometimes, and there used to be a record shop in Petticoat Lane. They went on actually to open up Uptown Records in Soho.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Izzy, right. The guy's name. And I used to buy records on a Sunday when I was 15.
Okay.
14, 15, 16.
What kind of stuff were you buying? Can you remember?
Yeah, I was buying like Doug Lazy, Let It Roll, French Kiss, Salsa House, Richie Rich. You remember like all sorts really, De La Swing, all types I was buying every Sunday.
Did you
808 State, Pacific State.
Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah.
Did you have decks or did you have a turntable?
No, I didn't have no decks. I had turntable at home.
Right.
Just a hi-fi system turntable. Didn't have decks. So I mean, sometimes we just be at home mimicking or making out as a DJ. You know, just that's how it went for quite a long time, to be fair. But I used to watch Paul Anderson. I used to watch him. And,
he was a master, and there's a lot of people that I've interviewed, pioneers, Fabio Groove Rider, Colin Dale.
Yeah.
A lot of them looked up to him. He was like a real he
pioneer. was probably one of the biggest DJs at that moment, because Paul Anderson.
How did you actually get close enough to him to like approach him and then end up carrying his
what happened was, so the group of boys I was with, one of my other friends, Akil, he was part of the group. He was slightly a bit older than me. He got to know Paul and ended up being his driver.
Ah, okay.
So Paul used to have a show on Kiss FM every Saturday, 9 to 11. It was 2 hours advanced dance mix show. Ak used to drive him there, and from there, then just go to his gigs straight after from Holloway Road. The studios were based then. Yeah. So and I used to go sometimes to watch him, you know. And again, radio's so changed since then as well. And it was 2 hours, no adverts. It was the only show on radio that had no adverts.
Wow.
And Kiss was new and big then as well.
Yeah.
Only dance music legal station. A great lineup as well, and we used to, everyone used to be locked in on a Saturday night between 9 and 11, getting you in the mood to go and do what you do. But he was the biggest at that time, and there was something about him. I felt he stood out from the rest of the DJs. When I used to watch him, he was different to the rest. Energy, the way he mixed, selection, he was a cut above the rest.
So how was it for you to end up carrying his records for him? Man?
Oh, it was
quite an honour.
I couldn't see it. The buzz to walk into a venue with him. The buzz I used to feel like, wow, this has to pick up my chest, and it was amazing. I couldn't explain the feeling. It was unbelievable. I used to love it. I'm in trouble. He pulled up and said, I'm in trouble. And amazing to actually see all that.
This is something that I think perhaps a lot of people today might not be that aware of, is that there was this culture of like earning your stripes by assisting a DJ, by like carrying his records, and that was a way in for a lot of people. I actually heard that Carl Cox used to carry Paul Oakenfold's records as well. So like, you know, it was a kind of like a rite of passage for a few
Carl
people.
Cox was a sound guy at the time as well.
Exactly, and also the flyering thing. Like lots of people, lots of big DJs now started out flyering. Andy C went out flyering quite a lot.
I remember Andy. Yeah.
And so and this is something that again, it's not as present these days.
No,
because
it's non-existent.
Yeah.
It's non-existent. In those days, if you wanted some involvement somehow, that was your way in. So for all DJs, if you speak to a lot of the older DJs, they will tell you they carried boxes. It's like speaking to footballers that used to clean boots of the older footballers.
Yep.
That no longer exists, and it's the same with carrying. There's no boxes now, but even when there was for a little while, it had faded out. But that was your way to get the know-how of the system of Clubland or raving. I spent 7 years just educating myself like that. I think it was a huge education period for me. Yeah, and at the time I couldn't afford decks, Technics. And I remember Paul Anderson said to me all the time, "Where's your tape? You know, you want to be a DJ. Where's your mixtape?" And I said, "Look at him. I've got a few records and that, but I couldn't mix to save my life." Yeah, you know. So yeah.
So you spent about 1.5 years with Paul, is that right?
I spent about 18 months. Yeah.
What do you think are some of the key things that you learned from him besides his technique and his energy? You know, in terms of like, did he impart any knowledge to you, or did you just sort of learn things from just observing how he was and how he behaved?
He just said, I always say I want to be a DJ, and he used to say to me, just watch me. That's what he said to me, watch me. And that's what I used to do. I used to watch, because his style of mixing, I wasn't seeing many other DJs. Maybe Carl Cox was a good mixer at the time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Carl Cox, he would slam it, crossfader. But the style of mixing was something I was so into, so I would just watch him. And then what I would do was, when I'm in the car, and used to have the round knobs, I used to, with the volume, and try and hit the bass or the treble or the hi-hats. And I was the king of that. So every time I was in a car, and we used to have, and I used to be playing around with it, and I used to do what Trouble did, you know. He used to,
the chopping and stuff, yeah. And
I used to watch him, and that was growing in me, that style, you know. It was growing in me over the years, slowly growing. That's what we used to do, just watch him.
Brilliant, man.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And that, it provides like the perfect foundation for you to go on and do what you've done over the last couple of decades, really.
Yeah, I mean, I got involved in '97, 8 years later. I mean, I went through some tricky periods as a kid, as you do. Well, not really as you do, but unfortunately I did.
It can happen, yeah.
Yeah. So I was watching acid house turn into hardcore. Hardcore. You had there was also a US garage type of garage, housey garage, like Bucketheads and MK.
Yep.
These sort of tracks at the time. So I was still doing my, then I was really getting to the big raves. I went to biology and these type of raves as well in '89.
Foundation, man.
Yeah, I went to those raves. Genesis.
How was that? Because you were still like mid-teens, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What an experience.
It was an amazing experience because we was taking ecstasy at the time.
Right. Can you remember your first pill?
Yeah, we had a White Dove.
Wow, nice.
A White Dove. I was a bit scared at the time.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna lie, I was a bit scared, but everyone was on it. I remember I went to a few raves, didn't do it. Watching everyone. Thinking his mouths were going. And what's going on with these people? What if I take it? Will I be okay? So I remember I took a quarter to start off with.
Yeah.
I was too scared.
Yeah.
But the white doves, they were quite head rushy at the time. I liked the yellow Callies were very floaty and make you feel good and kept you awake. You was in control of that.
Sure.
So that part of it, when you're in the events, it was just, I can't even explain it. But when it turned to hardcore events, I still say till today, probably the most exciting. Used to have the hair stand up on the back. The euphoria and the energy in the events was unbelievable.
Why do you think that was? Was it like that slightly harder beats?
Yeah, slightly harder beats. There was a lot of pianos uplifting. It was just the way the music was designed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the way it was designed. It was unbelievable. And then you had new acts coming through. Well, there was like the Rat Packs and
Yeah.
these type of people that were coming into the hardcore, Slipmat, and it was amazing, that music and what it did for you. You couldn't wait. I remember I was working as a labourer in the city, me and my mate, building site, and we were getting really pushed at work, carrying cement up 10 flights of stairs, and we were dying. And I remember we were so tired on a Saturday, but the minute you took a pill, you feel all that tiredness just go. Knackered all week, don't know how I was going to do this, and the pill just sorted you out.
Yeah, evaporates.
Evaporated. So we started getting to hardcore raves, and then obviously got involved. That hardcore turned to jungle. Wasn't really in. I didn't go to jungle raves, but at the time got involved in bad things with drugs, etc., and I had to go through a period where I had to go through that part of my staging life.
Yeah.
Just got deeper into different drugs, selling drugs, not necessarily ecstasy or anything like that. I was into a bit of a darker scene, and was in and out of prison for a little while, and then I ended up in prison on remand for a long time, looking at a long time as well. So I think it was at that period I decided that this was wrong. I probably needed something like that. Wake up call. To think you're sitting in jail, that you could be looking at 7, 8, 9 years maybe, and that for me was quite frightening.
Yeah.
So I actually used my jail prison time remand as a way to try and now regroup and fix up, really. Try and fix up. I mean, I had to look at it this way. I'm either going to be here for 8 years or 7 years, or whatever they said it was going to be, but or someone's looking over me and will let me out, and I left it in the hands of the unseen, if you like, and thankfully I won the case, and when I came out, it was never no looking back. Left everything positive, and I had the chance to be part of UK Garage was emerging. Had the chance to be involved in something in UK Garage at the time, and I took the opportunity, and from then on I've been involved in the club scene.
Well, good for you for making that change, man, because for some people situations like that are the making of them, and for others it sends them on an even darker path.
I think when you're in prison, I think you've got to look at the basics of it and the logistics of it. It's you're an outright loser. You look at the clientele that's in there, you probably look at them and think, well, they were meant to be here. And I always felt I was never meant to be, the way I was brought up and the way I'm not meant to be here. That was the mindset I had. And when you look at, you're locked up with men, your access to food is non-existent. The little luxuries you're after in life, there's no women. What sort of life is this? You're earning £6 a week or £5 a week in there. And I said, this is not where I come from. This is not what I'm about. This is not me, at the end of the day. And you'd watch some of the problems that would go on in these places and I think, wow, and it was a wake-up call for me. And I'd been in a couple of times before, but only for like a month. Wasn't enough to give me a wake-up call. Maybe another time I went for a week. But that time when I was on remand for a long time, that was for me, it just opened my eyes, and it was just, it's not the place to be. You're locked up at 5 o'clock. So what sort of life is that at the end of the day? It's waste. It's a waste, So I felt like a loser. So I needed that feeling. Yeah, I needed that feeling to know what time it was.
Yeah, and to not have that feeling again.
Yeah.
So I heard you in another interview say that the Todd Edwards mix CD was quite pivotal.
Yeah.
Well.
So I was in Chelmsford at the time. This is where I was on remand for a long time. And my girlfriend at the time, she sent me Todd Edwards Locked On, it was called. And I'm listening to this. I'm thinking, this is great stuff. This is amazing. This is what I'm really into. More the garage house type of thing, and this CD was I got the whole prison, because they could hear me at night, and I would have my music on loud, so they could hear this coming through my cell window. You'd either have people telling you, turn that fucking thing down, and I did get that on the odd occasion, but people were loving what I was playing. Probably call me a DJ if you like. But people could hear. People were loving what I was playing, so I was lending people. I had it on tape, to be fair. Lending people the tape. I remember one day the gym screws. They knocked on my door.
Yeah.
And they said, "Yeah, that music you're playing, let us borrow it." He borrowed it, he taped it, and it was Todd was locked on. It was groundbreaking, and it was a massive compilation.
Yeah, man.
Massive for garage. The roots of garage in this country, UK garage.
Big time. Massive
CD.
Yeah. Because Todd was, and still is, so revered.
Yeah.
And I read an interview of him where he said he wasn't even really that aware that his music was resonating so much.
He wasn't,
because he was getting hammered on Pirate, hammered in the clubs, and then he got a booking to come over here, and he was just like, everyone was going nuts for him, and he just couldn't believe it. What a fantastic producer, man! Like, his stuff was just amazing.
Yeah.
So you came out of jail, and this opportunity presented itself to you.
Yeah.
So how did that actually come your way?
So what happened was my girlfriend's sister, she used to go to uni with a guy that was involved in R&B events, university ones, and they were offered a venue called the Raw Club in Tottenham Court Road. It was an underground club. You walk down, there was an underground car park, in fact, Tottenham Court Road.
Whereabouts on Tottenham Court Road?
So if you know Oxford Street,
yep.
The first right on the corner, it was an underground car park. I forgot the name of the actual road. It was on the corner of Tottenham Court Road, just Oxford Street, just on the corner.
Right.
You could see it. Raw Club. They took the opportunity to get involved with UK Garage, and it's quite funny, really. So there was a few of them involved, and then they got me involved about 2 months later. I got involved. My girlfriend was doing the guest list, and it was all from there. The club had 3 months life left. It was going to shut in April, and we were packing it out every single week. And it was the emergence of the UK Garage, the Carl Tough Enough Brown, Matt Jam Lamont.
Yep.
This type of era was emerging and becoming very, very popular. And we was at the beginning of all that, to make that popular. And for me, it was a new lease of life now. I've just been out of prison not long, and now I'm involved in this. I would never have thought this would. I thought it was going to take me time to maybe regroup. Because I didn't have much at all when I came out of prison.
Yeah,
not much at all, hardly anything, in fact. So I was just energised.
And what was your involvement?
I was a promoter.
Right, okay.
The thing was, I wanted to become a DJ. So I'd gone all these years of what I've explained, wanted to become a DJ. Never did happen. Funny enough, quick story, in 1992, there was a club called Jacqueline's on Wardour Street. I don't know what it's called now, but it was called Jacqueline's. Very popular night spot. Commercial, not rave. But Carl Duff Enough Brown was a resident DJ there. Not garage, obviously, he was commercial. He was a sick DJ. Carl, amazing what he would do as well. Two of my mates, they had a DJ outfit called First Base, and I wanted to be part of them. So I used to go with them on the uni circuit a little bit. Couldn't mix to save my life or nothing, honestly. And I used to just chop and just do all this. And Jacqueline's said, all right, we'll call you in for a little, if you want to play on a Saturday or Wednesday night, come in and let me see how you guys mix. So we went in. So my two mates, there's three of us, they said, fine, no problem. I get on, clanging shambles. Absolute shambles I was. He looked at me and said, nah, you ain't got the gig, you got. I lost them, like, couldn't get a gig, all because of me. And then the guy who said to me, nah, And he said to me, "You'll never make it. You got no. I won't even bother DJing." He said to me, "Taz Johnson, his name was Taz Johnson. Taz Johnson.
Right.
He was the resident DJ at Jacqueline's." Funny enough, Taz Johnson got to hear about me 8 years later. He came with. So I was doing a Pure Silk event in Equinox in Leicester Square.
Wow. Okay.
In those days, West End clubs would take on these events, and I was playing. It was about 2 a.m, and Carl was on after me. Taz Johnson was with him, and Taz couldn't believe what I'd become and what I was doing. I looked at him, I was laughing. I said, "Oh, I remember you." He looked at me, remembered me, and I said, "Remember what you told me?" I said, "Remember what you told me?" And yeah, it was a funny moment for me then. But no, if you'd seen me, if you'd seen what I did that day, you would have said the same thing to me. No chance. You got no chance of becoming a DJ.
So was then becoming part of the team with Pure Silk that gave you your into DJing?
Yeah. So that was my route now, because it was very difficult before. But that became the route now for me to become a DJ, you know. So 6 months into it, started warming up at the event. So we moved from Raw to SW1 Club every Saturday.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, which became Cube, Victoria.
Yeah. Big club, man.
So we was doing that every Saturday, ramming it out. Packed weekly event. That went on for 2 years. And I think 3 months or 4 months into SW when I started warming up.
Brilliant. So you were sort of energized from sort of landing on your feet out of jail, into this new thing.
Yeah.
It's going well. Next step is warming up, DJing and everything.
Yeah.
Feeling good. Sounds like you sort of got yourself into quite a good situation there, man.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was, when I look back at it now, it was absolutely, storyline is great, because it doesn't really happen for many people. But it was destined for me. When I look back at it, it was just destined to happen. It's something that was meant to happen. It was a huge part of my destiny. So, buying records, getting given records as well. Got to know a lot of the people, a lot of industry people would come to the events, record labels, getting promos. So this was a great chance for me to now start properly learning DJing. So I got hold of a pair of Sound Labs decks in those days, and every night at home, learning every single night. Put the time in and warming up every Saturday, and that's how I started to really come through as a DJ. Well, I say come through as a DJ. Well, not really come through as a DJ. Well, I was a DJ at my own events.
Yeah. Which is perfect in a way.
Which I still wasn't the main DJ, but I was warming up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't throw myself. No, I wasn't. So I remember a couple of times DJ never turned up. I would never go on at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. I wasn't ready for it. Till a couple of years later. So that's how I got involved. And UK Garage was groundbreaking.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, so Pure Silk came up, was it around 97, 98?
97, January 97, yeah.
So it kind of hit the sort of, the garage was sort of on its way up at that point anyway.
Yeah.
And so you guys kind of hit the ground running with the event, because it was...
You know what, it was instant success.
Yeah.
Instant success. It wasn't a case of, we're trying to build something here. It was instant success.
Why do you think it's...
Because we caught something at the right time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You had Sun City that was doing Adrenaline Village, and Twice as Nice were doing a little Sunday thing in the Arches, and La Cosa Nostra, if you remember, they'd done 1 or 2. It was still relatively new, fresh, and we caught it at the right time. We caught the wave, and the same thing went on to happen. How Silk caught it at the right moment.
Right.
And that's the key to this game.
Yeah, man.
Not coming in when something's really popular. You can, but I found my success was catching the wave at the right time. It's about to grow into, and that's how it worked for us. Instant success. It wasn't 600, 400. No, packed every week. Roadblocked.
Amazing.
Roadblocked.
And a lot of your ticket sales were through record shops, right?
In those days, yeah. So, went on to do with Pure Silk between 97 and, say, 2000. Very fearless. took big risks. So we had the every Saturday thing going on. We thought we were untouchable. We had it all on lock, and we took on New Year's Eve 97, 98 in Stonebridge Leisure Centre, Bridge Park Leisure Centre.
Which is an interesting part of the city to do events.
Yeah, and we actually ended up getting 6,500 people.
Brilliant. And I heard you say that's one of your favourite.
Was one of the greatest events we ever did. Now, when we were doing the event, so I remember we went to book Matt Jam Lamont, and he's saying, Stonebridge, you're not mad.
Exactly.
So we had to meet him there, show him what we're going to do with a sound system coming from, I think at the time, Germany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a big show we was going to put on, and then people were saying to us, well, this is Stonebridge. You don't know what you guys have got yourself in for here. This is right next to Stonebridge Estate. This could end up being mayhem. So we said, it's too late now. And it's fearless. If you asked me to do that, I would never do anything like that. Through my connections in Clubland, I told you about Bernie earlier on, and Egan, and so I got 30 hand-picked of the toughest security you could get, to come with us on the night, and that's what we did. And it's funny, really, because it was the greatest event, pure silk. I still look back on it now and I think it's got to be the best event we did.
Wow.
We've done many events, I can't tell you, many events. To see that achievement, I said to myself, 13, 40, I was in jail. If you had told me 13 months ago, if Todd was locked on in myself, blasting, this is what you'd be involved in, I would have said to you, no chance, no fucking way, it's not happening. Right? So it was just surreal, it's all going on, I couldn't believe it, and it really was happening. And just from that moment, achieving that, me and my partners, we just felt we felt untouchable after that. Felt like, we wanted to do, we had big balls, we wanted to go and do this, that. And the next year we was in Wembley, which was the Sand Road.
And how many people came to that one?
13,000, the biggest UK garage event ever.
That's crazy.
They call these things festivals now.
Yeah.
10,000, 12 festivals. No, we did Wembley Conference Centre.
That is crazy.
We sold out 10,000 in advance, so gone. Remember on the last day, tickets being sold for 150 quid.
How much were they supposed to be?
50, 60 pound, but they were going for 150. We were selling on 150, 200. The door was ridiculous. Turned into a bit of a hazard that night. Overloaded. It was quite funny because here we are putting on an event at Wembley, but we're going up against all our competitors. So you had Twice as Nice was doing something, you had all the big boys doing something, and then just down the road where we did last year, selling Stonebridge, you had Liberty and One Night Stand doing something, and it's like we didn't care. But we were borrowing to make this event happen. We had to get people involved, borrowing money left, right, and centre. Give us that, we'll pay you back double.
Sure.
You know what I'm trying to say? We was just doing stupid things, really.
Yeah.
It should have. But it paid off. I remember I had Steve Jackson on at 12 o'clock.
Brilliant.
He was on Kiss FM at the time. Massive he was. EZ 1 o'clock. Still remember it. Spoonie 2 o'clock. Remember Spoonie was late, 5 minutes. But the type of gentleman Spoonie was, he came to look for me first to apologise. Look, I'm really sorry I was late. But I said, don't worry, just go up and
he's a top guy.
Go on, yeah. Amazing. So from that moment, that event there, Wembley, 98, 99, it opened a lot of doors for us. But I had been in Ayia Napa a few months before that.
Right.
I don't know if you know about the Ayia Napa thing of me.
Yes.
Boiler Room did documentary. Yeah.
Basically pioneered garage there.
I was the first guy to take it out there. Yeah. So I'd been in Ayia Napa a few months before that. So the combination of me being in Ayia Napa, did what I did in Ayia Napa in 98, and that event, I couldn't tell you the feeling. It was, I was a loser 2 years ago.
Yeah.
An outright loser. Because that's what I was. You can't say anything else. You've got to be real. And then to be what I was involved in now, you couldn't have written the script. It was
what a feeling.
gobsmacked.
What a feeling.
When I look back at what I was involved in, and the 3 year period I was involved in drugs, heavy hard drugs, drug houses, drug raids.
Wow.
I was thinking, how did I ever
Yeah.
how was that? But maybe you have to go through these things in life to end up.
I do believe, and I've experienced this through interviewing a lot of artists and a lot of people who are successful, and watching a lot of documentaries, that a lot of people have a moment in their life where something switches, and they've been going on a really, really bad path, and something goes bang. Either they have an accident, they end up in jail, whatever it is, and it makes them reconsider what they're doing.
Yes.
And it, not only does it make them reconsider what they're doing, it makes them go, like you said, this is not me. That's what I should be doing. And once you tap into that and acknowledge it, you follow that path, and not only do you follow it with like determination and self-belief, because you've finally gone, this is who I am, and this is who I'm gonna be, and this is what the word you use, destiny. This is my destiny. So you work towards it. Yeah. And that's clearly what's happened with you.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was finally becoming someone.
Yeah. And then you became, as you said in one of your other interviews, you ended up being like a king in Ayia Napa, because you became this guy who...
Again, I went to, got married. I was, so my girlfriend, who was with me for years, my mum was saying, look, you got to get married now, I'm having this. So, I went to go to Ayia Napa. Just heard about it. I don't know why I went to go there, to be fair. I went to go to Ayia Napa. I took my record box with me.
So was Ayia Napa already kind of a thing at that time?
Not a garage thing, and not a place where DJs were going to name DJs. But no, it wasn't really. No.
Was it kind of like a 18 to 30s type of situation?
Probably a bit more advanced than that.
Right. Okay.
Probably a little bit more advanced than that. So you would be hearing the housey, commercial housey tracks, in these places. So it's a bit more advanced than that.
So a bit of a party destination, but not established in the way that it
That's
became.
right, yeah. Okay. Basically, it was just what you're saying there. Party destination, but not established. But Londoners, Essex out there, you had that 95, you'd hear Faithless and Morel's Groove and everything, these type of tracks. Right, George Morel, Armand Van Helden, you'd hear these tracks out there. But I took my box with me, my record box. Still wasn't the greatest DJ at that moment, still learning my trade. Good selector, but still not technically the greatest DJ. Still trying to learn. You could mix at home, but doing it in a club time, a big system, was quite daunting sometimes. But I met someone I knew out there called Sammy Can Function. He said, look, and there was a little club going on, about 300 people, and he said, how'd you got your box? I said, yeah, Pure Silk's out here, blah, blah. Look, come and play tonight. So I was there every night, just loving it. It was,
on your honeymoon?
On my honeymoon. The club was getting packed because the Pure Silk band's here, That's what I was more known as. Well, I was a DJS, probably the Pure Silk guys here. This club was being packed. So I was. What happened was I was approached by a venue. There was a club called Pizzazz. Massive, biggest club on the island. Dead every night.
Right.
Packed, just dead. 30 people, 40 people. Big 2,000 venue. The manager called me in for a meeting. He said to me, it was unbelievable what you're doing here, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, because I want you to come and play here. So I said, yeah, why not? And really, I should have been carried on playing at the small club. So I want you to play here. So I started playing there. Didn't really do much in terms of bringing anyone or the numbers. But the family that ran the island in terms of big businesses there, they called me up and I said, look, they wanted a meeting with me. I said, look, next year we could promote this from London and bring people out here. I think we would do well. He said, yeah, I agree with you. I said, so it was, we will start the promotion on our flyers, telling you how we'll do it, etc., etc. I said, we'll take on, we're quite confident we could. He said to us, right, that's a good idea, but he goes, the idea I want to put to you is that I want you to start this Friday. I said, and my partner had come out. I said, no, that can't happen.
How far into the season was this?
Well, this was August now, end of July, I think, was it? Yes, end of July, early first week of August. I said, he goes, no, I want you to start this Friday.
And this is at the beginning of the week, like a Monday or
Yeah,
something?
this was Monday.
Right.
I said, pardon? I looked at my partner, I said, he said, this Friday we start. So obviously he's quite desperate. His club's empty, big club. I looked at my partner, I said, can we do this Friday, do you reckon? And he was adamant, Dinos Malas, this Friday. So I said to him, I said, all right, well, let's make a few phone calls. So he said, don't worry, I'll fix you with the flying people, the design, you go see the designer. And it wasn't like you could just email your logo or anything, you know, it was totally different setup. So got on the phone, I said, right, spoke to my partner, so who should we get? I said, let's phone Spoonie. Phone Spoonie, I said, Spoonie, I said, I'm in Napa, rah, rah. Look, I'm doing the Pure Silk this Friday, what are you saying? He said, cool, yeah, definitely. I remember he had a booking as well, and he cancelled a book. Well, he was part of the Dream Team at the time, so he gave it to Timmy or Mikey, one of his partners.
The benefits of being in a trio, eh?
Phone Creed, MC Creed. So Creed, look, we've got a party this Friday, do you want to come over? So we told the club, they got their flights booked, hotels booked. I was sitting in some village doing a flyer. I'm just thinking, wow. I mean, normally I'm in London going to designers, and now I'm in some remote village. I was in a village, looking out, no man's land there. I couldn't believe what I'm doing. So got the flyer ready, Spoonie, Creed, and me. Started promoting from the Wednesday night because that's how you do it out there. The event was on Friday. Generated a huge buzz out there, and I remember the first event on a Friday we put about, I think, 900,000, 1,100 people at the time.
Brilliant.
It was unbelievable. They couldn't believe what we had done, the club. The island couldn't believe what we had done. And I remember there was a club called Emporium, and during the 2-week period I was there on my honeymoon. My honeymoon, what I did was, I didn't touch on that. Once it had finished, I brought my wife back to London, and they'd flown me back out.
Okay.
The club, they'd flown me back out.
Right.
So that's how it all started there. So I went back out, and I had approached a club called Emporium. I personally had approached them whilst I was playing at Spot Club. I said, look, this is what we do, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's every week it's our flyers. He looked, oh, good, yeah. And what he did was, he was a bit, his ego, he was a bit full of himself. He had a busy night. He thought he was a chap, and he had booked Carl Tough Enough Brown once, so he thought he knew about garage, and he told me to come and play. And it was me and MC Kai, because Kai was a resident host MC for a week. He came out for a week and they made him host MC, garage name. And I played 3 tracks. The crowd were going mad, and he said, no, you're no good, come off.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, he said to me, no. But the first 3 tracks went mad. And so when I did that, they were all over me. I said, fuck you. Fuck you, I said to the guy. Fuck you. And we was in Ayia Napa for the next 6 weeks, achieving, say, 900 a week, and then dwindled down to about 500 end of season. And that's how it started, Ayia Napa, for us, where we came back the next year. Wow. And it was just full house every week. And
so that first full season, what year was that?
First full season was 99.
Right, okay.
The part season was 98.
Yep.
And then 99, it just blew. We were the kings out there, the biggest night, had the media behind, Radio 1, Mix, all the magazines. Brilliant. Supporting us, MTV. Everyone was behind us. Ayia Napa was the place. It just became an amazing island for a few years after that.
So after that first partial season, you came back and you were basically still doing Pure Silk in London?
Oh, every Saturday. Plus we went on to do the Wembley. So the combination of Ayia Napa and Wembley put us on the map. Right. Where record deals are coming through now. Mixed compilation deals, and really put us on the map. what people looked at with Wembley was an event of this music has pulled 13,500 people. The music is bigger than we thought it was.
Yeah.
That's what opened a lot of people's eyes in the industry and record companies. This music is just, we need to tap into this, because
If you've got any kind of business now, so if you see that happening,
how
like,
can you, this amount of people, and I remember that night it was Pure Silk, Cream at Docklands, and I can't remember the other. We were the biggest events in the country that night. Cream was up against it. Cream was, you know what Cream were about, you know what I mean? So that put us on the map.
That's huge. And so this, I think we need to cover the Pure Silk compilations, because they were, they still are iconic.
Yeah, so got the record deals, became a joint venture agreement, in fact, where we was based in Marylebone. And I was the guy putting, what I liked about what I was doing, and it was me putting the track listing together, me, everything. And when we put the first compilation out, which was 99, I remember Steve Jackson called me up from Kiss. He said to me, yes, because I've just listened to the album. I've got Norris the Boss Windross to mix it at the time. He said, I've just listened to this compilation. He said, I've never thought I would ever hear a compilation where I'm going to hear this music, but not even the commercial, if you like, type of track, but the underground big tune. He said, I never thought I'd hear a compilation like this. And he was bigging me up. And our first album, we did about 30,000 copies. The record company looked at this and said, there's room for growth here. It was the next album that put us on the map. Went gold, silver, gold. Cole Tough Enough Brown mixed it. Again, I do the track listing, which I was loving.
Yeah, I bet.
Because it's me got the control now. Because I'm speaking to people in record companies, and they're telling me, no, we've got to put these tracks that are on the companies, and we're limited as to. I say, no, I do what I want. I choose from top to bottom what's going on. So that album blew us to the extent where now I'm sitting in award ceremonies, Dance Star. Remember there was Puff Daddy, Fat Boy Slim on one, the Dance Star Awards 2000.
Right, yeah, I remember those.
And we were nominated for Best Club Night or Best Compilation, two nominees, and I just couldn't believe how far I'd come. The success become really great in the record company, but I think as the success came, it started going, we started to be a bit dictated to as to what we could do and what we couldn't do, because we had brought the success. We were becoming victims of our own success a little bit.
As can happen.
No, we want you to make it more commercial now, and can you? No, we were being manufactured a little bit rather than letting our creativity speak for itself. And so we had a good run with the albums. I mean, I started mixing them. Pure Silk in Ayia Napa. I was the first guy to put an MC on a compilation. They said it would never work. Compilations, you can't have MC on it. I said, well, we're different. We're garage. We're not like the rest. And the MC thing worked. Obviously, we knew how to add it in.
That's it.
Nicely.
MCs are integral to garage, man.
Yeah. So so the album got me a lot of recognition as a DJ. DJS, like it was TV advertised. So now I'm sitting there thinking, a few years ago, you're in prison a loser. You've done all what you've just done with the raves. You've been to Ayia Napa. You've done Wembley's. You're now a TV advertised product. So our albums are being advertised in between, say, Champions League matches and this type of peak time. Channel 4, I'm going into HMV, I'm going into Tesco. See, I couldn't believe what I'm seeing. For me, as what I'd been through, I had to just knock myself a little bit. And I'd go into shopping centres and I'm hearing the albums.
No way.
For me now, I was just like, wow. I mean, I was in prison looking at 8 years, and I won the case, and this is an amazing story. I was saying to myself, what an amazing story. Like,
How many editions of Pure Silk went out in the end?
So we had 7 mixed compilations.
And in total, all of them put together, how many do you reckon how many?
Oh, we must have done at least 500,000.
Wow.
What happened with that story with the compilations is as we became really big, the major record companies wanted us, but we're now in competition with them.
Yes, okay.
Right,
because
so
they were doing their own.
right, so they were doing
compilations.
Pure Garage. They started. They,
Yep.
they saw us Pure Silk, or we do Pure Garage.
Yeah.
Now the record companies are looking at us. So we've had all sorts of deals come in, and we wanted to sign, but the partnership we had, which was a Jewish guy, who's been in the pop world for years, millionaire out of it. Looked at, he had Imagination and Mungo Jerry in the summertime and Bananarama and these type of acts. He'd made his money for these type of people.
Was that management or was that?
No, that was actually they were a record company, but they had formed Pure Silk Records with us.
Right. Okay.
They formed it with us. They funded it. They formed it. The record companies wanted us. The Warner's, Universal's, Ministries. They wanted us. I remember Ministry were courting me in Ayia Napa, taking me out. Warner wanted us, and what they did was, and we're telling Ellis, he said, no, I've been in this game. They know I'm involved. They know what time it is. And we're obviously, this is a whole learning process for us. We don't know about we're still learning as we're going along. So now the record companies, major record companies had got involved in garage music and were signing tracks, Flowers, Artful Dodger, Craig David. So we could no longer get these tracks for our mixed compilation.
Yeah.
They said no, because we're now, we was the only independent company that had the market share, had a piece of the market share, and we're rivaling them now. And they either you join them, or they're gonna
push you out.
They're gonna push you out.
Yeah.
And slowly they pushed us out. And we were telling, we should sign with Warner. We should sign. No, they know about me. I've been and really it was. And we were signing singles as well. I was signing artists, Richie Dan. I had Soul Solid track on our releases. We were signing singles, but when the majors want you, they can, and you don't. We found where they were getting involved with garage, they kicked us out in that respect.
So with retrospect, would you have done things differently? Would you have potentially...
To be fair, looking back on it, you would, but at the time,
Yeah.
we didn't have the knowledge.
Yeah, man.
Didn't have the knowledge, you
So
know.
what happened then? Because, obviously garage became increasingly commercialized. Obviously there was a lot of sensationalized headlines about Ayia Napa. There was lots of talk about violence. The music got a bit darker and a bit more dominated by MCs. Whereas in the early days, MCs complemented the music. It seemed to get sort of a bit...
Well, it evolves, becomes so popular. People want to be part of it, using our platform for what they heavily MC-led music. And then you had the Soul Solids and the Heartlesses come through, and crowds change along the way, and violence came because there was a lot of problems in London at the time, and we were the popular events, and things would end up happen, not at my particular event, but what's happening in the scene at the time. Gun crime, Ayia Napa, heavily publicised crime that was going. You saw Dizzy Well, I was actually there when he got stabbed, watching it. All sorts of stuff was going on in Ayia Napa. I saw so much things going on that it went from such a high to bang, it's collapsing.
The thing is, when
the police in the end said, we're going to stop all garage events in London, and
I remember
that's what happened.
The thing is that there's no accounting for the people that come into your parties. Like you, especially when you get really, really popular. The same happens with Jungle. It started getting really popular. And you, I mean, obviously you have a door policy, but you can't stop everyone from coming in. So people start coming in, and even like outside the clubs, even if you don't let people in, there can still be trouble outside your club, which you can't really control. So in the end,
the problem with garage is that when we first started, there was ecstasy involved. That quickly phased out.
Why do you think that was?
Because the jungle scene was closing down because of this problem. They came to us.
Yeah.
And they brought the crack spliffs and the champagne and this type of thing to our scene. So the drugs dictate genres, I find.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. We never had that happy vibe. Well, it was a happy vibe, but we never had that ecstasy vibe no more. We now got the crack cocaine spliffs, which was very popular.
Right.
Coke, and champagne, alcohol, driven.
Wow. Did you see that change happen quite swiftly, or was it quite a gradual?
No, quite quickly I saw a change. In fact, quite quickly that change came. As soon as the jungle scene was getting locked off, they were coming to us.
And what year would you say that was roughly?
Say about 97, 90, yeah. The jungle scene had big problems in 95, 96, huge problems. So when it came over to us, that came over 97, 98. But the underground garage part of it, that 98, 99, that London 97, was still the best part in London. The trouble came when you had the Soul Solids and this type of thing coming through. That's when crowds were changing and people that were following them, they were coming into our events, and this is how it started. The trouble wasn't really there. You did have trouble in 97, 98, but it wasn't like, you had a few, it wasn't everybody and anybody, it was just when it had to be trouble, outsiders, you had trouble. It's still the best part of garage was those years, the underground part of it. When it got commercialised, it became a full-blown business.
Yeah. Which is always the sort of downfall.
But the underground part of it was great. But when the MC led, it was just changing, and in the end the police said, you got Tottenham and Hackney fighting, you got this happening and that happening, and so... So
something that I've not really heard or read much about is the fact that there was ecstasy involved in garage in the early days.
Yeah.
Because everyone, when they talk about it or when it gets written about, it's like the champagne this, the this, and the designer this, and blah blah blah, and like all of these kind of like superficial elements that are kind of attached to garage. Whereas like
the ecstasy came in. The ecstasy was dead to start with. That slowly faded out quite quickly, say in about 8, 9, 10, 12 months.
Right.
Where some of the people started going over to house.
Okay.
With the ecstasy.
Yep.
As the jungle lot were probably coming into us.
Right. Okay.
So that transition was taking place.
Yeah.
So I would say actually some of the a lot more the whiter people were going over, taking the pills and went over to the house part of it. More like Judge Jules in those days, smoking, this type of house. David Morales, they went over there, that side of it. But yeah, I saw that transition, and it became, you're wearing shoes to a garage rave. It was Moschino and shoes. How can you rave in shoes? But he did. Patrick Cox's.
Yeah, he did. Patrick Cox's would have won.
Yeah.
So how about so there was this demonization of garage, and So Solid are always like the ones that are kind of like almost like the poster boys for this downfall, and like no disrespect for them, but that's what the media did. They latched onto So Solid especially, and obviously so they had their number one, and that obviously like created a lot. But then things started to really dwindle, and the garage scene, the police said that these parties weren't allowed anymore, and it sort of kind of shut things down a bit.
Yeah.
How did that affect you? Because obviously you were at the centre of it.
It affected everyone. It affected everyone who was at the centre of it. It affected us all. As a DJ, I could still go and get bookings out of London. Had the commercial success from 2001, the album. But it affected us all in a big way. Decline, big time. Wasn't the same no more. When you shut one stream down, the record companies don't want to know no more. The ripple effect of that is just damaging. So come 2004, 2005, in the end they shut us down with an event at Heaven, Pure Silk, Ayia Napa reunion in 2004. They cancelled us last minute, so can't go on, gonna be trouble here tonight, blah, blah. And then from there, just really, what a great thing we had.
Yeah. Not a bad run.
Shame that I said, look at it, I think, well, look at these house people. They're not having these problems. They're still going along. You know, you got the Americans that come over. Why are we suffering like this? You know, it was a bit for us. You had Oakenfold popping, that big Mad Major. Yeah, it wasn't good, and to dwindle like this for the next 6 or 7 years, I was just
wow.
Yeah.
So how did you get by? Were you still mostly concentrating on music?
I had property that I'd bought during Pure Silk, yeah. So I bought through properties, and I had kids, so it was a good time to bring up my kids a little bit as well.
Nice
but I was wondering, you know, and was getting to play here and there. Nothing exciting. Yeah, busy clubs. Commercial clubs, playing garage, restricted to how much you can play. The music become a shambles for me. You had dubstep. The sound of the music, I thought, which was big. Dubstep was big with trance. But this sound that's out now is this? What has London and what has the UK become? These sounds, what we used to have, and I remember you had so many DJs that were at that time. When house became trance, a lot of DJs left, like Jeremy Healy, Brandon Bruce. You see a lot of DJs go. This new sound and the dubstep, I thought, but then there was a new sound where you had Jamie Jones came with a track called Hungry for the Power, and I got involved with one of my friends. It wasn't my event, but I was helping my mate Destination House in Coliseum. 2012. Yep. And I could see, and one thing I noticed in the 7 years in London, that the music, the clubs were divided colour. You either it was a black event or it was a white event. There wasn't that. And I thought, wow, the segregation is amazing. What this has become, it's either black, you're into that R&B, or you're into. This is a white events, which would have a few black people.
Definitely wasn't like that at Dungeons, eh?
Yeah, and I thought, I couldn't believe what this has become.
Yeah.
But I was involved in an event which was pretty quite black orientated house event in Coliseum, and Jamie Jones had come with Hungry for the Power, and some of the music that was coming out at the time reminded me of the garage buzz. And I haven't had this buzz for a long time.
What was that event called at Coliseum?
Destination House.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I'm listening to the music and I thought, wow, some of the best music I'm hearing in a long time. I was collecting all this stuff, Perupa, Non-Stop, Jamie Jones, Hungry for the Power, Martinez Brothers, H to the Izzo.
Yeah, man.
I thought, seems to be a bit exciting again. So what I decided to do was, my friend had opened a bar in Old Kent Road called Thomas & Beckett.
Yeah.
He was into property, he had bought the building, and he took it to the bar. So he said, he phoned me up, he goes, look, come down, I want you to have a look at this place. And I drove down there one night. I drove outside, looked at it, I drove off. I said, I've never done clubs, anything like this, 300 people, not my type of thing, I'm more of a club man. But then I was driving back home, I said, why did I drive there? I said, no, let me go back, let me at least speak to the guy. So I drove back, he says, we got a license till 6. I'm looking, it was quite good inside, it was only about 250 people you could put in there, but it was quite a good little energy that I could see up there. He said, what do you reckon, do you want to do something here? He goes, look, please, I know you know the garage DJs, bring them down. So I started little garage things there, it was going all right. We took Pied Piper, Mike Roughcut Lloyd, Creed, PSG, you know, just doing little monthly things there. And was doing that for about 12 months. Called it, what I was calling it, Indulgence. Nothing major, this is just little bars. And I thought, you know, so I had this name in my head called House of Silk. And I said, you know, I've got this name, I want to bring it out. Should I do it in here or not? Try it, test the waters. Decided to test the water February 2013. Packed it out, 300 people.
Did you play yourself?
Yeah, for me now, I'm the main guy.
Yep. And
then I thought, okay, I think there's a chance of me maybe being able to grow this, because you had Radford doing Sundays at Can't Stop, Won't Stop.
Yeah.
I saw that scene. This is what we're doing. That was all that was really going on, the Sunday scene. Did a couple of other little things, but Radford on Can't Stop, Won't Stop was the thing on at Aquarium on Sunday. So I thought, let me do one more. And it was my birthday, 2013 May. And that went on till 10 in the morning at the club. Yeah, I remember I opened the door at 6 in the morning because they're 24-hour license. People are coming in and paying.
Brilliant.
So I thought, and the lineups I had though were like Pioneer, Carlos Series, Super D. Wasn't really the type of thing, the direction I wanted to go down. So I had an opportunity to go into Hidden in September that year. Took it, booked Mark Radford, Adam Cotier, Lance Morgan, Riaz Danani, rammed it out, 1,100 people. And then I said to myself, this is pure silk for me all over again. I could feel it, I could feel the music, looking at the music that's coming out, very garagey house. I haven't heard this, I heard dubstep and this mad sounds, this crazy, this sounds of trance and satanic music that's getting to us. For me, I used to hate trance. To think, what is this? This is the devil's music. And so this was, I could see this new DJ Radford, this is the new crop of that we should go for. And then I got them all on board. They was on board, and then I done first birthday in Hidden, 12-hour party, 1,400 people. Closing party of Hidden was going to shut down 10 till 10. Still the greatest house silk I ever done.
Wow.
Amazing, that party.
And it grew exponentially from there, didn't it?
Grew from 250, 300, 1,100, 1,400. Club closed down, went to Scala because people that owned Hidden was running Scala. I took 2 steps back because we were going to North London. It was still quite a South London thing out there.
Yeah, big time.
Very South London, even though you had Aquarium, very South London orientated.
Yeah.
Took a few steps back, dropped to about 800 people in Scala. Done a few parties. Halloween party, got 1,000 people. Opportunity came to go into Coronet.
In Elephant Castle.
Yeah, 2015, January. I said, I'll take the opportunity. But people were saying, you'll never fill Coronet with these lineups. No chance. They said, you'll never fill, you're suicide. You're committing suicide going into the Coronet with, you're going to need Eats Everything, or you need to try and get Maya Jane Coles, or you need to try and get Richie Ahmed. No artificial colours. And I said, I actually tried to get artificial colours, but it was a lot of snobbery being shown to us.
Oh, really?
Snobbery, yeah, a lot of snobbery.
Was that for booking agents?
Yeah, we couldn't get these people. They were turning our noses up at us for some reason.
Do you know? Did you think about why that was? At
Yeah,
the
I
time?
knew what it was. They were calling us Hood.
Right.
Hood House.
Hood
Yeah,
House,
yeah. Jamie Jones's track is broken our dance floors. The Hungry for the Power wasn't breaking on your dance floor with Jamie Jones. It broke on our dance floors. We broke M. Clay, Blue Jeans, Lana Del Rey. We broke Cozzy D, Aphrodite. We broke these tracks, not you lot. We broke your tracks for you. And so they were showing us snobbery. So that was fine. I didn't care about that myself. It affected a lot of the other DJs who had to look at themselves. Were having complexions. Shall we do this? Shall we not? I carried on. I was on the one. No, this is the way forward. Went into the Coronet and totally rammed it out. 2,483 people
Back
in January, South London. These lineups, and they told me, "S, you're committing suicide." I was in Birmingham flyering for the event in November 2004. I walked out the event. I was flying House Silk, fly out. Guy walked up to me, goes, "You reckon you can fill Coronet with that lineup?" I looked at him and I was driving home from Birmingham that morning. I was thinking, you know what? There was an event in Coronet on December the 14th called Siesta.
Yep.
There about 1,200 people. So I thought, maybe I'll probably get this 1,200 or 1,300. Fuck it, we'll do it. Do you know what I mean? No choice. I've committed to it now. Yeah. I changed the game with that event.
What?
I changed the fucking game.
What date in January was that?
It was the 23rd of January. I changed the game.
Wow.
Yeah, I changed I literally changed the game. And it's quite funny because you're talking about Mark Radford. these type of DJs turn their back on their scene. I don't know if he told you that in his interview, but I'll tell you that for him. He turned his back on our scene.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. He turned his back, him, Carnell Beats, good few of them. They thought they were bigger than the scene, they wasn't. And they turned their back. I'm gonna get on with Mark, they're fine, but I'm just telling you how it is.
Yeah.
They turned their back on our scene.
When did that happen?
Actually happened in 2014.
Right.
Mark said he's got saved from ministry, but they thought you couldn't be seen at our parties because they won't get work. It was all in their heads. Like what shit they'd been fed by this the house people from, say, around here really, all this Shoreditch area, they've been fed shit into their heads. So they turned their back, and I was up with my experience from Pure Silk, knowing how genres operate, coming from dungeons, seeing, I knew the underground. And I was watching brands who were part of our scene, who had done our lineups but got rid of them and started booking whatever you want to call them, the house DJs, but there's no connection between them. So I think the Basson and this type of people, just no connection.
Right.
Funny names there were as well. Some of these people, Wildcats, I don't know if, all these type of, just don't.
They're all kind of a bit more of what I'm described as a bit more new disco than
no connection.
Yeah. But they were, I guess, like big names at the time. And if you don't have confidence in the lineups that you're booking, perhaps they're the kind of names that you'd go for.
I'm going to these events. I'm watching that the entertainment value is zero. The connection, they're not that they're shit. No, they're not. It's just that they're not for the flavour of what we're doing. Guess some of the music they're playing is what we play, but the way we're cooking this up is not like that. It's different. We're cooking it up different.
Yeah.
And I watched. There's no connection. This is not rave. This is not where I come from, London. This is not raving. This is not. You don't put someone up there just. Because he's this and the crowd is looking at him. There's no vibe. That's not what entertainment is about. And that's why I won in House of Silk. That's why I won, because I stuck to my guns as to what I'm doing. I saw a lot of DJs end up turning their back who crumbled by doing that. And I went on to prosper and literally became the biggest thing in this game.
Well, it's really interesting to me because it's clear that House of Silk became like the big thing in London, right? And as Rosh covered in his open letter, weren't getting the press at all. Now, first of all, I can imagine that you weren't really fazed by that, because if you weren't fazed by booking agents being snobby, then lack of press coverage is also something that perhaps you weren't that bothered about. But what it led to was what you were talking about with Mark Bradford and other people. Is people sort of maybe losing faith in it and going elsewhere? Do
you know what it was? I'm not one to say this. There was a racial, sugar-coated element towards us.
Yeah.
I was never that bothered, to be fair, because I understood the game. What bothered me was that the DJs who were saying, no, we're going. We want to be booked by Elro. Elro are never going to book you. You come from here. Let's grow our thing. Let's do what Spoonie and Carl Tough Enough Brown said in '96. Fuck Louis Vega and David Morales coming here taking 20 grand. We got our own UK garage. Fuck the US garage. Build our own scene. They never had this mentality. And I tell Spoonie these stories, and we were on the same page. Matt Jammer, we had a UK scene. We grew it. They've had the same thing now, yet they live in fear of what other people think. Hold a minute, this is I could see there was a racial element, but they would sugarcoat it and deliver it differently.
Sure.
But I was never one to draw the race card. I didn't give a shit about it. I didn't give a fuck for 1 second. But what I've done in House of Silk, I haven't got the recognition for it. They know about me. They know about me. They all know about it, because when you get those numbers, what I'm doing in Great Suffolk Street Warehouse for 5 years, 4 times a year, in that warehouse, that the big boys couldn't even do in there. I saw We Are Festival do it every week and for 10 weeks. And after 3 weeks, I had to close it down, couldn't get the numbers. What I did in there, I broke records in Great Suffolk Street Warehouse, Coronet, consistently broke the records. Was booking one or two DJs, no official colours, Rafa FL, Mark Jenkins, Martin Ikin. Just one, that's it. Just to top it off, bit of music became a bit more techier, so we offered you a variety of everything. But they connected with my crowd. It wasn't that you couldn't connect with my crowd. You saw the abodes that would get stages in festivals. We're pulling more numbers than them. And no one's looking at us at all.
Do you feel disappointed by that?
Little bit, not much, but little bit. I believe that in some of the festivals we should be. If I was white, I would have been in us. You'd be jumping at me. It's a numbers game.
Yeah. Isn't it really shitty though that you can be neglected and also have this snobbery aimed at you and this really crappy tag Hood House because your crowd is from London, working class and mixed and diverse. Like but like Dungeons was like that, Garage was like that, Jungle was like that, and all of those things have been written.
Hardcore was like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all of these movements now, all of a sudden, in the early 2010s, there's another movement happening, which is, that following on from like this pattern of scenes that have grown out of London, that gets neglected. Why? Because there's a dominance of like snobbery and like these snobby attitudes from like particular members of the press, but also the industry itself.
Agents.
Yeah.
It come from the top, don't get it twisted. It came from Jamie Jones. Don't ever get that fucking twisted. He was one of the main guys. It comes from the top. And I'm thinking, Jamie Jones, hungry for the power that made you, by the way, your track broke on our floors with our people. It wasn't breaking nowhere else. Now, I like what Jamie Jones has done over the years. I think he's, and what he stands for, and yeah, I respect him. But it came from people like him downwards. From people like him, Jamie Jones, I mean, you're a black mixer or whatever you are as well, Jamie. What the fuck's wrong with you? This is, for me, it's not about colour. It's about what we're doing. It's just, London's such a diverse city. It's not about that. It's not about hood, and nobody wants hood in their raves. I've hardly had any problems in my raves ever. You know what I mean? I've had more problems in white raves, house, than mine. Trust me. Publicised acid attacks and stabbings, and I had a lot of arguments with agents. This is where my battles were with agents. DJ agents. This is where my battles came. I didn't want to tolerate their shit.
What was the general kind of response that you were getting from
unavailable. Everyone's unavailable. Not even like any question. Unavailable. Shut down there and then. Shut down. But look at the numbers I'm getting. That shut me down. I'm getting blanked by agents, and I've had your Mark Radford, Carneo Beats, and these Night Shifts, and Riaz, all these other DJs, Adam Cotier, don't want to be, can't be seen at House of Silk. Well, no one else is going to book you. I told them all, no one else is booking them. Don't think Paradise is going to book you. Don't think Jamie Jones is going to book you, because you've lost the plot. Like, this is your Paradise. This is your Elro, House of Silk. I am that for you, for us. We can rival them. The biggest problem, I will tell you the honest truth, we were a threat to that scene in house. We were a major threat. We had come up with dancing, shuffling and shape cutting, and the trend was growing, but it's a numbers game, and we were becoming a threat. And how they would try to eliminate that threat is use the hood house, the sugar-coated type of polite form of racism. But we were a fucking threat to them, and that's what it came down to. And I'm telling everyone, forget the bollocks, we're a threat to them. We are a threat to this eats everything and all this type of we're a threat to them. No, we're not. We're a threat. I've been in this game for years. I started off raving in the 80s. I know the game. I know the underground. You lot don't. You lot just come now. Or you come in the last 5 years. You don't know fuck all. I've seen it all. My experience will carry me. Is wow rise to the top, because I'm experienced. I know how the cogs turn. And exactly that happened. I became, like, for me, they come running back to me, all these DJs. So just, you know, and I was picking and choosing if I wanted you or not.
So where did it get to then? Pre-lockdown and everything. Where was House of Silk?
I was just number one. Just the event in one. It's an experience. It's not a rave. It's an experience. My crowd come from all over the country, all over the country, and every event I'm doing 60 to 100 tickets from abroad, whether it's France, Italy, New York, India, Brazil. RA shows us all where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And the warehouse I was doing, don't know if you ever know it, Great Suffolk Street Warehouse.
Yeah, of course,
mate.
Is it like 3 big artists?
Serious venue
Yeah.
to pack.
Yeah, man.
A lot of people can't pack that venue, and I'm consistently packing it out. You had a bold showing us, if you play at House of Silk, you can't play for me. A bold. He was just fucking outright racist, though. He's the boy from village in Kent. He wasn't actually out. He still is a racist. He's a fucking idiot, this guy. And I never thought there's no need for that at the end of the day. I mean, who are you? Where have you come from? What do you know about house? Where was you in the 90s when house was? Where was you late 80s when house? What the fuck do you know about house music? What the fuck do you know? So when you're coming with this nonsense, you know, name me 5 DJs from 1989 that were playing house in this country. You couldn't even fucking do it. Don't tell me about your house and music and he comes from garage, and I don't want to hear your bollocks. But they would stop a lot of our ravers trying to get into their events, the door pickers. Well, they're known racial problems there. Telling DJs, if you play for House Silk, you never play for me.
Wow.
But I used to just put it in one ear, take it out the other. I didn't want to get involved or distracted by anything.
Yeah,
for me, it was just laugh it off. You were a fucking idiot. Do you know what I mean? And they never would really want to have a battle. Wasn't interested in that. Because I knew what I'm doing. I'm winning. And I'm a threat. I'm a threat. And I'm winning. So you can say what you want at the end of the day. And any of you DJ want to fall in the trap, you fall in what you want. You see you later. Because I'll still carry on.
So how often were you doing events?
4 times a year.
And did you, before the COVID stuff kicked off, did you have any plans to change that or potentially?
No, well, so 4 times a year I'm in certain festivals. Wasn't in the big house festivals, but I'm in festivals. Should have been. I was in Garage Nation festivals, in One Dance, Sunborn. Should have been in Park Life, We Are Festival.
Right.
Really, that's where you know,
yeah.
you'd want someone like me, but you know, colour wasn't right, I suppose, at the end of the day. But I must stress, I'm not a guy to ever draw that card. I'm bigger than that. I've always felt like, draw the race card. No, I was never that guy.
But there's clearly something that's an obstacle to your access to having a stage at a festival, having booking agents be open to allowing you access to their artists, and we can't avoid the elephant in the room, which is clearly because of It's exactly.
Listen, I had Jamie NG booking, Jamie Johns' agency. I had it with this guy. Everyone I was going for, he said no. So I remember I went for Mark Jenkins once, and I actually Facebooked Mark. I said, look, coming for you for a few times. This your agent is talking rubbish. I was telling him the problem. He goes, what? I'd love to play your event. We don't even get the information, he said. So he phoned his agent, said, no, I'm playing now. And so his agent was struggling to deal with me. Oh, God, I've got to deal with him, blah, blah. But the guy came in and he said to me, he says, I can't believe what an event you got. Hood. You got the most diverse crowd I've ever seen. And we wasn't hood. That's the worst thing about it. Yeah, I had some hood. I had everything.
Yeah.
I had everything. I had solicitors. I had police off duty, raving on drugs that we recognised from Tottenham Police Station, saying, please leave us alone. I had all walks of life in the event.
And this is where it is, and this is where it starts. This is where it starts for you. And I'm gonna mention it again. But Dungeons, Sunrise, Biology, all of these places.
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
Yeah.
So I always think to myself, why is that an obstacle now in today's world where we should be even more open-minded than we were back then?
I think the dance music has become, the house music industry has become a predominantly white-orientated industry now. Where if you go back to the late 80s, it wasn't just white DJs at all. It was hardly a few white DJs, like Paul Oakenfold was one. Just mixed, you know, black and white. I don't know what this problem was.
Do you think as it's become less DIY and more business, that people who come from potentially more
yes,
middle class backgrounds have
yes, LWE, biggest cunts out there. London Warehouse, I don't know if you heard of them. Shut me down, try to get into Tobacco Dock. Someone introduced me, shut me down there and then.
Really?
Shut me down, Paul Jack. Shut me down.
How did that happen? How did that play out?
Will Patterson used to be part of LWE. Will Patterson helped me along the way. That type of a guy, if you saw him, looked like a school teacher to you. Got me into places, got me into hidden, recommended me. Such a good guy Will was, you know. He said, look, I'll put you in touch on the email intro, LWE, try and get you in Tobacco Docks. Done the intro, told them, ramming out Great Suffolk Street. Everyone knows what I'm doing. When you're in that league with those numbers, you know what people are doing. Don't ever get it twisted. Shut me down, no. Pissed off for a day or two, but then get past it, move on. Just think, you come from that middle class white type of thing, and you're showing us you ain't got a fucking clue about music or house music or.
You'd think in that kind of situation, given the numbers that you're bringing in, given that how successful and how many tickets you're selling, etc., that first of all there'd be at least a slight opening where they'll go, okay, and just understand that, you know, you're not going to bring a crowd that's going to bring trouble.
No, we don't, because let me tell you something. Our crowds go to all these festivals whether we're there or not. Yeah. They're all in them.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. There's more problems than I've ever had. I've had one or two little problems over 8 years, minor. Yeah, I've seen, and what you've seen in some of these events, the white events. And I said, they got the cheek to fucking turn around and say that there's problems with everything what's going on here. You got acid attacks, you got fucking stabbings, they're taking down the fences at We Are Festival. It's Secret Sundays, stabbing. This is society. It happens. These things will happen in society in general nowadays, not just. So don't sit here and try and blame this or that or shuffling, dancing, or, you know, this was all just, you know, we were talented. The people who were dancing or shuffling, good dancers.
Yeah, man.
That's what you was.
Yeah.
The bloody good dancer. You know, you was a good. Wow, look at that. It looks great.
Makes a change from two-stepping.
Yeah. So never really got to me. Certain venues I couldn't get in, but I was still doing my thing. I think if it was a case of I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, it might have got to me a bit. But my crowd was definitely the most diverse. I had the most raving crowd.
Yeah. And that for me is what it's all about, because I come from drum and bass jungle.
Yeah.
And I was saying to Mark Radford last week, like the energy of your raves is equivalent to the energy of those jungle raves, because it's such a diverse crowd.
And it's not like that in these other raves.
No, exactly. Like I was saying to Mark, I'll be in a you know, any standard house rave back in like 2013, 12, 13, 14, whenever, making noise and people looking at me like I'm weird. I'm just making noise because I'm enjoying myself, man. This is what you do in a party. You know, people are like.
I brought the horns to my events. Yes. So I'd buy 300 horns every event. Throw the horns out there. It was and that's what made people want to be at my event. It was an escape. It was an experience, and it was such a rave. You wasn't getting this in other events. That's what made us.
Yeah, man. It's amazing because your lineage is like directly connected right back to the roots of rave in this country, and you're still like bringing that energy to the parties, and it's amazing, man. It's what's made you a success in everything that you've touched since you came out of jail and had Pure Silk, you know.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And it's a credit to you for being so determined to push forwards, regardless of what was
If
going
I
on.
wasn't here, the London house scene would have been dead.
Yeah.
And it would have been killed off by the people who were part of it. And I get on with Radford, but he would have been part of the reason why it died. And other people like him would have been. How did you allow yourself to fall in the trap and, we won't get work? And Mark Radford's one of them. Mark Radford is one of them, and he's one of the key players that started this with B3 Edwards at Sunday night, that pioneered this, what we're doing now. Pioneered it. Yet you let people get into your head. Sad. I'm really sad. And Mark, you've been around as a raver from early 90s, and you fell in the trap. It's shocking. But it helped me as a DJ, because I've become one of the most popular ones as well.
Yeah, man.
So
So
my platform, my crowd, DJS, they loved him.
And so, in an ideal world, suppose COVID's not going on. What are your next steps? Where does it all go?
Strong enough to walk straight back in. Let's hope. Let's see the damage COVID does to venues. Companies restructuring. Who survives? Who doesn't? That's a whole new topic. Another topic in the day. But I hope we do come back. But like I said, I'm strong enough to walk straight back in. That's how strong of a brand I am. I don't have no problems like that. But I want to see who survives, who doesn't, at the end of the day. And I hope the venues survive. RA have restructured. A lot of companies are restructuring. So, look, when it finishes, people are dying for a new rave. Dying for it. Absolutely dying to be back, socialising, losing themselves. They can't wait for it. But I was in Ayia Napa every week. I've got a deal in Ayia Napa House Silk. I was in my B for 3 times this year in Eden. So I was getting, people were looking at me. I had that going on. I had Birmingham. Huh?
Was that for me?
No, Rave. House Silk. I had House Silk going on every week last 2 years in Ayia Napa.
Right.
Summer season,
cool.
Franchised it. IB for done 2 last year. I'm going to do 3 this year. I was doing House Silk in Birmingham, selling it out.
Brilliant.
In Birmingham, selling it out.
I bet there's a great market for it.
Yeah, they loved it up there. We've worked with the O2 together, from London, the O2 group. Was going to do a few tour dates with them around the country. I was going to do a Brixton Academy. There's so much planned. Was brought to a standstill, but it is what it is right now. Hope it comes back. I think it will come back. With whatever you got to do, get injected or some passport they're saying. Let's see what happens, but I think the nation wants to party now.
Of course they do.
So let's hope for 2021. We can only hope that we see something towards the summer, hopefully.
And just to finish up, I was never there in the peak of the garage days, and it's one of the things that I think about quite a lot, because I didn't even go to Ayia Napa or anything like that. It was just a little bit before my time. Can you sort of like describe what it was like in those garage raves at their peak? Like how the people were dancing, what everybody looked like. Because we have these like impressions that are given to us by like magazine articles.
Yeah.
But, you were there in the thick of
Yeah,
it, man.
well, it was that Moschino, Patrick Cox shoes. Had to be very smart. Was a big culture shock for me from where I came from. Dungeons, Sunrise, all this. But it goes through different eras and different periods. You might have seen it if you was in Jungle. Did you in Jungle?
Yeah.
Did you ever go to the 94 raves, 95 Jungle raves?
No,
Well, they had the same thing. They were also having the designer shoes. Was creeping into Jungle at the end. I think Champagne Moet was huge. Had to have and funny enough, you'd make me laugh because it wasn't going to have a bottle of Moet. Could have a crate of Moet. The sort of money that was being spent at the bar. It was very flash posing. Probably a little bit of American culture franchised a little bit over here. That hip hop, Biggie Small, because that's what they were listening to in the cars outside. and then pulling up to a garage rave. So that influenced it. You know, that jewelry, wads of cash, looking good. I haven't seen nothing like it before. I've never seen a genre where in dance music where you have to go and wear shoes.
Yeah, people got proper dressed up, but then they like properly went for it in the raves.
Properly went for it. Yeah, and these were 10 till 6 raves.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, and days.
So you come out there and you might as well have not dressed up.
Well, they had after parties as well. Yeah, but you had to dress up.
But I mean, you'd be like sweaty and dishevelled by the end of the night, right?
Yeah. It was 25 years ago now, 24 years ago.
Mad. Well, DJS, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, man, and it's like really nice to have got some insight from somebody who's been at the heart of like so many things that have been going on in London, and someone who, it's quite rare to find someone who's like been so like strongly involved in London for so many years and has such a broad knowledge of everything that's going on here.
Yeah, I mean,
that's been like,
when you compare to some of the people that are coming out in the last 5-10 years and make out they know, this is that. I've been there from day one.
Yeah, man.
I've been there from day one. I know how warehouse parties work, Don't tell me that, I'm not credible enough. I've been there from day one.
Yeah.